Hey guys, come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year, everybody. I can't think of a better day to do a workshop on really what I've learned in the last year. 2025, I learned a lot about how I want to move forward making games. I'm going to start my fourth commercial release this year, probably, God willing. And there's 5 things that I'm going to do incredibly differently in 2026. And hopefully these things are things that give you an edge as a game developer, because that's really what we need, right? We need an edge. Because I think it was almost 20,000 games were released in 2025. And so really you want to be able to compete with all those games. Granted, a lot of those games are probably, I can't think of a better word, sludge. But we still want to be able to compete. And so these 5 things are going to hopefully set you apart in 2026. And I know these are things I'm going to do, so I'm just going to tell you guys my experience. So come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see if I can get the chat up here. Come on, chat. Where are you? It usually should show up right here. Let's wait. 3, 2, 1. No? Okay. Well, hey, Ashmit. Hey, Fox8. Almost Real. Chill Game. Yusuf. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, before we jump in, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Charles, Ben, Simon, Eduardo, David, Jared, Gabriel, Massimilio, Kyle, Chad, Sean, W, Faharet B, and Juan. Welcome to Full-Time Game Dev. And by the way, if you guys want to get a shout out tomorrow, feel free to check out the link in the description or the chat. This is another big sale. It's basically the same as Black Friday. These are my 2 biggest sales. And then after that, we may do one in spring and then the summer. So these happen very infrequently. And this is 50% off my massive course on not only how to, make a game in Unity, Godot, Unreal, whatever you want to learn. You can take your pick. It doesn't matter. Just pick one. We'll talk about that, but just pick one. But you're also going to get my 2D program, my 2D art program, and my 3D art program completely free just for this sale. As you can see, a lot of students have already enrolled, and it's only been live for the last day. So these are probably going to sell out. I think there's 90 seats left. And if you do the math there, 13 days left, 10 a day. Yeah, we're going to sell out. So be sure to click the link below if you want to enroll. This is a great program. Okay, it really is. And if you're a student in the program, let me know in the chat. And if you want to see some real reviews here, real reviews from game devs who actually went full time, these are legit. You can reach out to all these people and ask them if they went full time. These students went full time, which is so cool. Does this mean it's easy? No. Does it mean that it's a shoe-in? No. But if you want a blueprint and you want this framework that you can follow through 2026 as you, resolve to make your game and to sell it, this is the program for you. Please check it out below. Just click the link and just watch the trailer. And it might be something you're interested in. 50% off plus my 2D and 3D art programs completely free. You're also going to learn how to pitch to publishers, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get wish lists, how to do a Kickstarter campaign. You're learning from somebody who's actually done it. I've gone full-time 3 separate times from 3 different demos that I created. I'm currently working with 3D Realms on my last game, or my 3rd game, Twisted Tower. Hopefully it's not my last. But let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and stop with the ad read and jump into today's workshop. This one is so fun. I'm so excited today, guys, because what we're going to do here. Oh, what if I don't like the idea of a publisher? You don't have to go with a publisher. You don't have to go with a publisher. You can learn how to do Kickstarter campaigns. You can learn how to get wish lists. There's a billion ways to market yourself. And we're going to talk about that here. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to make games in 2026. This is a different kind of workshop because I'm not going to give you everything you need to know about making games in general. I'm actually going to give you the things that I think are going to give you that edge. That edge in 2026, the edge that I'm looking for, the edge that a lot of game devs are looking for. You should be looking for an edge because it's getting dicey out there. It's getting competitive out there. So let's crack open our Zevia. And what we're going to do, I'm going to do some talking, but you know, one of my resolutions, in 2026 was to show more and tell less. And I think you guys are going to like this because I'm going to talk. I'll jump through these things, but then we're going to open up Unity. And for today and tomorrow, in the workshop tomorrow, I'm just going to do all this in front of you and show you how I'm going to do these things. And hopefully you can replicate them. And also, hopefully, you'll trust me a little bit, right? No promises guaranteed, as always, with these workshops. I'm just telling you what I've learned, guys. I cannot promise anything. It's really up to you. And game dev, here's the thing. Game dev is one of those things, it's one of those things that even if Thomas has success in it, it doesn't mean that it's going to work exactly for you. Okay. But I'm just going to tell you what I've learned. Okay, guys, let's go. All right. This is where I brag a little bit. I'm not just a YouTuber who sells courses obnoxiously. I can be obnoxious when I sell courses, but I'm not just a YouTuber. I have been published 3 times. I've been doing this a long time. Okay. Neversong, was published by Serenity Forge, and that was sold to Apple Arcade. And that was a big deal. And I made good money doing that. And this is just to give credibility. This isn't me flexing or anything. It's not me flexing. Oh, sorry. It's me trying to prove that I know something. Like I know that I'm a YouTuber too, but I'm just trying to prove I know something. Neversong sold that to Apple Arcade, which was awesome. That was actually my most profitable game, even though Pinstripe, which was my first game, that one did better on Steam. Pinstripe was published by Armor Games. Excuse me. And I worked on that game full time. I worked on Neversong full time. In fact, I worked with a team on Neversong full time. Twisted Tower, that was my biggest publishing deal. And I'm currently published by 3D Realms. And that was a rock solid deal. In fact, I was in the bathroom the other day thinking about how good a deal that was. Got some really good seed money for the game and still got a really good royalty share out of it. So Twisted Tower is currently in development. That should be finished up here in a bit. Hopefully I'll tell you guys when that comes out. But my games were featured by Time and Forbes and PC Gamer and Kotaku and... Sorry, I'm just adjusting my volume. I don't want it to be too loud for you guys. Okay. Yes, I've been published, but I also have done Kickstarter campaigns as well. Pinstripe, over $100,000. Once Upon a Coma, which became Neversong, we renamed it. $85,000. So yeah, I know how to do Kickstarter campaigns as well. And then I've hit the Steam front page and blah blah blah, and my games have more than recouped, which is always good. You always want your game to recoup more than the advance from the publisher. So all in all, I've had a great career. So today we're going to talk about the top 5 skills to master in 2026. I put a ninja down there for a reason. Okay. The thing is like these skills are going to be overwhelming to learn. But here's what I think we're going to focus on. Just these 5 things, because there's a ton of things that a ton of YouTubers are going to tell you to do to learn game dev. They're going to tell you certain languages and certain engines and build your own engine. Do this. I'm going to tell you the 5 things that I think are going to give you that bleeding edge. Okay. I put a ninja down there because I kind of want you guys to do this a little. You need to do it agile. You need to be able to do it alone. And you need to be able to do this sneakily. Meaning you're doing something that not everybody else is doing. You're trying to do something a little bit different to give you that edge. Okay. So what are those 5 things that are going to set you apart in 2026? And what are these 5 things that Thomas wants to do in 2026? Well, I'm going to show you all of this after we talk about it. Okay. So this is just a reminder. I'm not just going to talk about this stuff. I'm going to do my very best to open up Unity and show you how I'm going to do all of this. Okay. And I'm going to do it live just so you guys know I'm not just blowing hot air. Okay. Here we go. Oh my goodness, what a profound statement. Actually, this is kind of profound. And we'll get through this slide. This is an obvious one. But I have a video dropping about this tomorrow. I think it's time for everybody listening to end the constant back and forth between engines. I think it's time to stop debating about engines if it's causing you to not make your game. Pick a freaking engine and move forward. This is particularly interesting for 2026 because in 2025, 2024, and 2023, the arguing about which engine was best and which engine was ethical. Yes, there are clear winners, but it's ruining your game. Just pick one and move forward. Can you do that for 2026? Can you make a commitment to just pick a freaking engine? Now, I will say, if you want to port your game to like console, you might want to choose Unity, maybe Unreal. Godot, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so I'll just say that. But overall, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, all the engines are pretty good. They're pretty great. And you can navigate through the problems with each engine. You're going to find problems with every single one. Just pick one and become the master. Why does this give you an edge? Because most game devs that are trying to make games, they're not a master. Why? Because they're trying to learn 2 or 3. Because they keep reading X posts or Reddit posts about why all of a sudden we need to drop Unity. Oh no, all of a sudden we need to drop Unreal. Or Godot did this, we need to drop Godot. And I've seen developers go, I'm moving all my assets over to Unreal. I'm moving all my assets over to Unity. I'm moving all my assets over to Godot. Stop. Pick an engine and just move forward. This will actually give you the bleeding edge. It really will, because I think game devs, they're constantly listening to random people online about this. Oh, this engine is actually better. Or people in the comments are saying, oh, you're using Unity? You're going to fail if you use Unity. I have a whole video coming out about this tomorrow. But all that said, pick a freaking engine and become the master of the engine. Okay? Do that in 2026. All right. Now let's get into things that are a little bit more complicated and a little bit more potentially profound. Not profound, but just helpful. And these are things I'm going to do. Okay, look, I've always either created my own assets or I've had a team member like Felipe create our own custom assets. And yes, Pinstripe, Neversong, my 2D games, and then my 3D game, Twisted Tower, they look incredible, okay? But they took 5 years to make. Pinstripe took 5 years. Neversong took 3 or 4. Twisted Tower is 5 going on 5.5. So it's really expensive and time consuming to create custom art, okay? I'm not opposed to it, clearly. I've made a career doing it. However, in 2026, I think it's time for you to at least consider really becoming a master of asset flipping. And the reason why are 2 reasons. I'll skip to this part here. Number 1, the prevalence of the assets. There are so many cheap assets. And by cheap, I just mean they're inexpensive or they're free. And we're going to use a lot of free assets today when we jump inside of Unity to show you this. And number 2, the speed at which games are being made. Okay, this is a reason why you might want to consider asset flipping. It is so freaking competitive out there. Like 20,000 games released in 2025. Are you kidding me? And these games are coming out rapid fire. Why are they coming out rapid fire? Because people know how to do this. Also, people don't really care about asset flipping anymore. A lot of you are paranoid that people are going to see your asset flip game. Nobody really cares. Who knows why? I think who knows why asset flipping isn't very embarrassing anymore. Because there's one thing that's more embarrassing. Does anybody know? What's the one thing that's more embarrassing that you don't want to get caught doing when it comes to assets? Does anyone know? That's a good Dr. Pepper or Dr. Zevia. I'll let you guys guess. But I'm going to show you guys when we open up Unity what I mean by mastering asset flipping. You can make a game. I used to say you couldn't do this. I was on a podcast when I was like 24, and I was like, the reason why I make all my art completely by hand is because it just has a cohesive feel. You can make a game that looks cohesive with assets. You really can, and I'm going to show you guys, hopefully, fingers crossed, in a second. Yeah, AI, that's right. If it's AI assets, that's when people get pissed. So in a way, you're a purist if you're flipping assets. But look, guys, treat game development kind of like a director would a film. Okay, I've talked about this before. A director of a film doesn't create all of the props in the scene by hand and from scratch, right? They hire out people, they buy stuff, they rent a place to film. They don't build a brand new house necessarily. Or, they fake stuff, and they use trickery and movie magic. That's what asset flipping is. It's finding all these different assets, sourcing them from real people, getting the license to use them, and then flipping them so that they look unique and cohesive in your game. Okay, so master asset flipping, and I'll end with this, and just for to reiterate, the reason why this is unique for 2026 is, guys, we can't spend 3 years on a game. Most of us can't. I could probably get away with it just because I have an audience, if I'm being honest. But most people need to get a game done. They need to get a game done in like a year, okay? And if you can use assets to speed up the process, and believe me, it will, that kind of gives you an edge and makes you competitive, okay? That's my theory. Am I completely 100% sure about this? No. Am I like 90% sure? Yeah. Okay, this one's going to get me in trouble. And, not necessarily in trouble, because I'm going to clarify. I'm not saying you need to create code from scratch with Copilot. I do think there's a lot of people out there who just refuse to use Claude and Copilot. But I'm going to try and make a case for this for you guys. I know that a lot of software engineering studios or software engineering firms are kind of making it a requirement to fully understand Copilot and to use Copilot. In fact, they have quotas of how many hours they want their developers to be using Copilot. Why is that? Well, it's because Copilot is actually saving time and money. And the reason I think this will get me in trouble is because a lot of people don't believe that and don't agree. There's nuance. There's nuance, obviously. When you're writing code from scratch, do you want to write your entire game code base with Copilot? No, you don't. Do you want to use Copilot and not know anything about C#? No, of course not. So I'm going to give you all my caveats here, and then I'm going to give you why we should do this. First off, you need to understand C#. Like you need to if you don't know C#, C++, which is Unreal, or GDScript, which is Godot, if you don't know these languages, pick one and become a master of it, okay? It's kind of like if you didn't speak Mandarin and you told Copilot to write you a novel in Mandarin, and then it spit it out in Mandarin, and then you're like, I guess it's good. But you can't read it. You need to be able to read C# and understand it, because when you input something into Copilot and you ask for a feature request or a bug fix or an editor tool, you need to be able to read the code and scrub through it and make sure it looks like something you'd write and that you'd approve of, okay? But if you understand how to code, having Copilot inside of Visual Studio, and I use the Claude Sonnet model, is going to multiply your output significantly, okay? I just want you in 2026 to at least try it, okay? Try to use Claude, and I'll show you guys in Unity how we use Claude. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good at like writing code from scratch and building your code base. That's kind of a nightmare, honestly, to think of Copilot writing code, the entire code base, and you don't understand any of it. That's terrifying. But what you can use Copilot for is editor tools, for one. Okay, and the reason why it's good for editor tools is editor tools aren't necessarily, they shouldn't be, embedded into the game code, right? So we're not shipping the game with editor code. The editor tools are there to help you speed up development. So for example, like a balancing manager that helps you figure out how many enemies are in a scene, how much total health drops are in a scene. Editor tools to assign unique IDs to every object. Editor tools to find all the real-time lights and delete them. Editor tools to help with baking. There's a million things that you might not know how to write, but you could say, hey, Copilot, can you write me an editor tool? I can't tell you how many times I've had Copilot write an editor tool that takes 30 seconds to write, and then it speeds up hours from my day. It's also really, really good for diagnosing bugs, okay? So I'm not telling you that Copilot is going to write a bunch of code from scratch. I don't want it to do that. But what I do want you to think about is, let's say you have thousands of lines of code like I do for my games. Copilot is going to be able to, without any documentation, it's just going to know where certain bugs are occurring, where certain features are occurring. Or you might forget, how is this code connected to this code? Copilot is going to know where those connections are occurring, and it's going to do it really fast. It's actually in a way, it's almost like writing. It can write, what am I trying to say? It's almost like it could write the documentation for you. In fact, it could. You could say, hey, can you write documentation for me for my entire project? And it's going to give you, this is the syntax that's used. This is how persistent objects are being used. These kind of functions are occurring within these classes. These classes interact with each other. This is a huge burden lifted off my shoulders in 2026, because oftentimes that's where most of my time would be spent, is on bugs and trying to figure out, wait, how is this code connected? Copilot can do it for you really, really quick. So it's an assistant. It is not there to write all of the code from scratch. I would never say that. It is instead very good at assisting you and diagnosing bugs. And I think, honestly, I can't put an exact number on it, but it's something like doubling my speed as a developer. Because the majority of my time that was spent on game development is like bugs and getting lost in my code and getting confused by my own code because I can't quite remember how it's interconnected. So that's my pitch for you for at least trying to learn Copilot, okay? A lot of people are not going to like this slide, and I totally understand that. But at least try it. I will say this, when I have team members want to help out with my games, like if someone wants to come help do like Steam achievements or something, I tell them, I say, are you going to use Copilot? And if they say no, what I do is I say, can you please try? Because it's going to increase your input. It's going to speed you up, which is good, right? So that's my pitch. I was nervous about this slide because a lot of people don't like this. And a lot of people disagree with me. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, then why am I using it all day? If it really sucks and it actually just generates terrible code, why are my bugs getting ironed out? Because I have like a list of 400 bugs, and it just kept knocking them out, every single one. I'm like, what? And it's not creating other bugs. So I just had to be like, well, I'm not going to evangelize this, but I am just going to be honest with you guys and say, I don't know why, but it's just helping me a ton. So there's my pitch to you. Okay, let's move forward. I think this is the fourth thing I want you to learn. Okay, and again, I'm going to show you how to do all of this today and tomorrow. So after we finish up these slides, I'm going to jump into Unity and we're going to start talking about this and doing all of this live. Okay, guys, nobody really cares. Nobody really cares about how dumb your video or your GIF or your game screenshots are, or how great they are. Nobody cares. It's the internet. It's a mess. Stop worrying about what people think. So many of you are scared to put your Steam page up. I don't know why so many developers have an issue with this. They don't put their Steam page up. They don't tweet. They don't put images out on Instagram. They don't make a little devlog. They're not doing anything. They're just making their game, which I guess is fine. But I want you guys in 2026 to learn the art of self-promotion. It's embarrassing because you kind of come across like a tool. Wishlist my game, wishlist my game, buy my game, buy my game, buy my game. Welcome to the internet. Welcome to 2026. You got to get those wish lists up, okay? Your game needs wish lists like you need water, okay? But Thomas, my game will sell itself. Maybe. Maybe you'll be an outlier, but most games need wish lists, okay? With about 20,000 games launched on Steam in 2025, you need to be able to drive traffic to your game to generate some wish lists, okay? And the goal is to get something like 7,000 to 10,000 wish lists. I know that seems scary and it seems difficult, okay? But the more wish lists you get, this is at least the theory, and this is my experience, the more wish lists you get, the more wish lists you get, right? It sort of just slowly increases over time because I think my suspicion is the Steam algorithm starts to favor your game. And as you rise up, you start to hit that popular upcoming tab on Steam. And thus you secure more eyes and more wish lists. Okay. So I'm going to show you today or tomorrow how to self-promote what we create in Unity. Okay. So we're going to open up Unity. We're going to make a game, right? We're going to asset flip. We're going to use Copilot for some editor tools and some minor feature tweaks. And we're going to also self-promote what we're creating. And I'm just going to show you how to do it all within Unity, okay? All right. That's great, man. Jay says, I could show off my game right now, but I hate the look of my character. That's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So many people think this is something that has to do with just maturing as an adult. You're never going to land the plane. You're never going to get to a point where you're like, okay, now I'm proud. Now I'm proud. And I'm perfectly proud of what I've created, so I'm going to put it online. Most people never do it. Most people never put themselves out there because they're waiting for that moment where they feel secure about something. It's a lie. You're never going to get there. So you just need to start putting your stuff out there. Who cares if it looks bad? So my encouragement to you, Jay, is just put it out there, get it over with, and become tough as nails when it comes to putting stuff out there on social media. I get people who hate what I put out there, and I get people calling me names. Okay? That's the way it is. And you need to be okay with it. And look, if you get in wish lists, who cares? That's my theory. All right? Ooh, this one's big. And this is something I learned this year. You're thinking, okay, Thomas wants me to master playtesting in 2026. How about this, Thomas? I'll playtest when the game is ready to be playtested. You just lost the plot. That's beta testing. That's alpha testing. That's when you have a game ready, like you're getting ready to ship, and you start to alpha test and you start to beta test. What I want you to do is play test. And I don't want you to play test it. And I don't want your team members to play test it. I want people outside of the game industry as developers, outside of development, friends, family, people online, your friends on Discord. I want them to play your game. And I want them to do it all the time, starting with the moment you start development. Get people to come over, give them some pizza, give them a beer, and you sit with them and you cringe together as they play your game. But Thomas is not ready. I don't care. That's the point. And you're probably wondering, well, why does this matter, right? What's the point? How does this relate to 2026? One of the reasons why game development takes me so long, and one of the reasons why it takes a lot of my friends a long time, is because they invest so much time in things that don't make the game good anyway, but they think they do. Your job is to get an audience to play your game ASAP and identify, hey, that's working, this isn't. And if something isn't working, they can tell you how to fix it. So you address the problem before you build on top of it. right? It's kind of like inspections with a house. This is the best way I could describe it. When you're building a house, you don't build the whole thing and then you have one inspector come for the final thing. You build it and you have inspections at different phases. And the inspector will come through and say, you need to fix that, you need to fix that, and you need to fix that. Well, why do they come through 2-3 months in? They do that so that you don't build on top of a problem, because then you have to tear it down and fix it. Playtesting ensures you can fix problems before you build on top of them. You can throw out things that aren't making the game good, and you can what? Polish and overemphasize and expand on the things that they love. Because oftentimes you think you know what makes your game good, and you're wrong. A playtester is going to come in and tell you what's working, and you're going to go, oh, that's what people like about this game. What I figured out about Twisted Tower is it's a scavenging horror game. That's what makes it fun. I figured this out 3 years later. What people love is scavenging and breaking things and finding things. That's what makes Twisted Tower fun. I unfortunately figured this out long after I started development. And so I've had to focus on all those things now. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? Master play testing. Okay. So we're going to jump inside of Unity, and today we're going to focus on asset flipping. We're going to focus on the first point, which is Unity, right? In my case, I've picked my engine, Unity. So we're going to focus on those two things. Tomorrow, I think we're going to focus on the self-promotion aspect. We may do a little bit of Copilot today, but we're going to focus on this one's big. So we're going to focus on this in just a short while. Excuse me, guys. I'm getting over a cold. And then we're going to master Copilot today and tomorrow as well. I'm just going to hopefully prove why these two things are so freaking valuable in 2026. Okay, guys? Before we jump into Unity, let me see if I can open up Unity here. Okay, I've got Unity open. Good. Before we do that, one final quick ad read here. If you want to take your game dev career further in 2026, or you want to start from scratch, it doesn't matter. Just check out this course below. Just click the link and check it out. See if it's something for you. I know that these seats are going to sell out this year because they're selling much faster than I thought. So be sure to check it out below. It's 50% off. It's basically Black Friday sale event. Black Friday and New Year's are the big ones. Okay, those are the big sale events. And then I just sort of put it back to full price until the next sale, which is probably in the spring or something. This is a great course because it's gonna be something you can reflect on and reference throughout 2026. Not only do you learn how to make games in Unity or Godot or Unreal, you can pick whichever engine you want to learn in this program, but you're also going to learn how to pitch to publishers, how to get wish lists, how to hit the Steam front page, how to do crowdfunding. You're going to get my 2D art program and my 3D art programs completely free. And yes, the course is actually highly rated with real reviews on the website here with people who actually went full time. Is it easy? No, it's not. The course simplifies things for you, but game dev is not easy. My goal is not to convince you that it's easy. My goal is to say, this is what I do. This is what I've been doing for 10 years. This is what my students who have been successful have done. And that's all I can do. I could show you what they've done and what I've done. So click the link below, check it out, see if it's something you're interested in, and I'll give you a shout out in tomorrow's live stream, just like I did here. But let's go ahead and jump inside of Unity and get started on the first thing I want you guys to learn, which is asset flipping, okay? So what's the goal? The goal in this asset flipping portion of today's live stream, the goal is to create a horror game with assets, all free assets. Granted, we're gonna do a little bit of Google stripping. And what I mean by Google stripping, that sounds very, very sexual. What I mean is we're just going to go through Google and grab a bunch of assets that are completely illegal. We're going to use that for this tutorial video just because textures, it takes a while to find some good ones. So in terms of textures, we're just going to be grabbing a bunch from Google. but it's just for the purposes of this tutorial, okay? Let's move this over a little bit here, this chat box. I'm going to shrink it a little bit here too. Are you guys ready? This is going to be fun. Now, we're going to use no modeling, okay, except for ProBuilder. I'll show you how to do it. We're going to use no modeling and only assets, and we're going to make this, we're going to try our very best to make this look like Resident Evil Requiem. Okay, is that what it's called? Resident Evil Requiem? Let me Google it. Resident Evil Requiem. There is a cool like hallway system, and we're gonna see if we can do this in like an hour or two. Spooky hallway, yeah. Oh, I love spooky hallways. So something like this, guys. Something like this. I'm gonna see if we can do this all with free assets and no modeling. Okay. Is it gonna look this good? Heck no. We're indie devs, right? We're gonna do this quick. Okay, and the next thing, the caveat I wanted to tell you guys about is this right here, these little pieces right here. These are not super easy to make, okay? Because there's a lot to do with grids and UV unwrapping. And so I did all this for you guys yesterday and today. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's not there yet, but I'm going to leave a link in the description to have a download for these pieces. Okay, and they'll be free. These pieces are going to allow us to create a level with windows and doors. And then we're going to go and find a bunch of free assets and bring it in, okay? So the first thing I want to do here is just build a general level layout. I'm going to hit play just to show you guys really quick. This is what we've got. I've got a first-person character controller. And by the way, all the assets we use in today's live stream, I'm going to link in the description. Right now, I'm not sure which assets we're going to use. But this is all we've got. You'll notice I've got a nice UV unwrap. This is ProBuilder, okay? And it's just got a simple 1080 by 1080 texture on it, okay? And then I've got these pieces here. These are all prefabs. And I'm going to be able to snap these to various portions of the ProBuilder mesh, okay? So here's what I mean, okay? I'm going to make sure I can't select my first-person controller. Let's go ahead and get started pushing and creating hallways with my ProBuilder mesh. Really quick here, these are all prefabs, including the starter piece, okay? This starter piece, if it's a prefab, it gets really slow. So this is sort of an asterisk with ProBuilder. It gets really, really slow, Unity. You want to make sure you don't have it as a prefab. So unpack it completely. Now I've got a fresh piece. It's just a 4x4. And what I mean by 4x4 is it's 4 Unity meters high within a grid by 4 Unity meters wide and then deep. I can go ahead and go to ProBuilder here, and I can start pushing and creating hallways out of this, okay? So let's just have some fun here. I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to turn off select hidden. And if I hold shift and I have snapping on and set to 1 Unity meter, if I hold shift and push, oops, make sure we don't select that. Hold on. There we go. And I will admit, I'm just going to say this right now. ProBuilder sucks. But hey, some people would say Unity sucks. Some people will say Godot sucks. Do you know what doesn't suck? Becoming the master of something that does suck. Okay, so if you become a master of ProBuilder and you know how to navigate around the idiosyncrasies that suck, you can actually make a pretty cool game. Twisted Tower, the whole game, uses ProBuilder. All right, here we go. So I'm going to hold shift and pull. And you can see here, it's starting to push at the grid of 1 by 1. Now you notice the UV is screwed up. We can clean that up quickly, okay? I'll show you how we're going to do that. But I'm just going to push and push and push. And I want nice, clean squares here. That way we can have, that way we're sure about the various sizes. And if I want to put a door here, I can delete this and then just drag the door piece over and snap it there. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does, but let's keep going here. Okay, I like that. I'm going to hold shift to keep, what we don't want to do here is we don't want to hold shift and then just do this, because then I can't cut out a grid piece to snap in my doors and my windows. It's going to make sense, I promise. So let's go back in time here, and I'm going to hold shift again and do this. All right, I'm going to hit play here. You just kind of want to feel it out. You want to go, okay, how's everything feeling? I do this all the time. I always just hit play and feel it out. So far, so good. Awesome. Okay, let's maybe put a door here or a window here. And we'll make it a little bit longer. And then we'll do a T shape on both sides, okay? And if I really wanted to, what I could do is I could pull it out a little bit more and then maybe even go up. Bring this up and then over. Let's do halfway up. Well, this one's tough. Okay, so this one's tough. So with this one, what I want to do is just drag it over like this and then go up one, and it'll give us a nice slant. Kind of like what we have here. One of these sequences I saw sort of a slant piece. So you can definitely do that. This kind of looks like a slant for some reason to me. So you can have it slant up, or you could put stairs here if you wanted to. But I don't want to do that for the purpose of this tutorial because I think it's going to be kind of confusing for you guys. So let's keep going like that. And okay, I like it 4x4. It's plenty of space. So I'm going to do 4x4 here. Right? And I'm going to create a T here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And let's keep going and have it open up into a big room. Okay. So what I'm going to do is push it out. So we have plenty of room for a big room. Now, if this was a prefab, right? If this was a prefab, it would be so slow. So just keep that in mind. If you're editing a ProBuilder mesh of a prefab at the root layer of your scene or the root level of your scene, it's going to be so slow. Okay, let's keep going here. Would it be better to create modular pieces in Blender and bring them into Unity so you don't have to deal with ProBuilder? Okay, this is such an important question. Thank you for asking it. If you want a really big room, let's say you have like an auditorium or like a cathedral. If that's all modular pieces, it's going to get slow. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to have some kind of base mesh that is a very low poly base mesh. How many vertices would this be if this was all 4x4 wall pieces? Bat, 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 snapped them. I think it'd be 3 times as many vertices. Okay. What this allows us to do is create, and it also, by the way, this actually is very useful for iterative level design. Okay. It's much easier to use ProBuilder and really quickly create a gray box and then set dress this. It's just much faster to do it this way. So use ProBuilder to create your base layer, or you can use CS, what's it called? There's a Boolean tool, a Boolean level design tool. It's called CS something. CS. Hold on, let me look here. Is it called CSGO? Yeah, CSGO. You could use CSGO as well, which is honestly, frankly, better. It's better than ProBuilder. Okay, so we've got this cool, we're going to have this really cool room here. This will make sense, I promise, guys. We're going to go pretty big with this. So that's good. I'm going to do this, hold shift, and just punch out like this for a big room. Big room here, and we're going to try and make sure we grab the right amount here as well. Push out. Good. Good. And then the same is going to be true here. The ceiling we're going to get a little bit creative with. We can do something like this. I used to tell this to Felipe when he was working on Twisted Tower. I'd say, when in doubt, don't make the ceilings flat. You could be a little bit unique with them. Something like that's fine. And then we could even, if we wanted to, you can grab the second layer like this and do this, right? So you get sort of this angled portion here. This is a little strange here. You probably want to subdivide that. But yeah, you could do that if you want. But I'm just going to keep it nice and flat just for the purpose of this tutorial. I'll do like this. And we'll go up like that. That's fine. Actually, let's just keep it flat. That's fine. Okay, so we've got a room here, right? We start here. And we could create a little thin hallway going down right here. Maybe like a closet or something. I don't know. And then why not do something here? So I'm just holding shift and clicking, releasing, clicking, releasing. Is this making sense, guys? Yeah, CSGO is great. And what you guys are thinking is, why is Thomas, everything's got to be in a grid? Because it helps me cut out things and put things inside of it. I'll show it to you in a sec. I promise it'll make sense. Let's give us a little bit more room over here. All right. Let's push this over to here. Good. And then we're not going to make a huge level. We're just going to be pretty simplistic here just for the purposes of this tutorial. Okay. Okay, let's hit play and feel it out. There we go. So there's a living room in here. Good. Maybe we'll put a little window there or something. I don't know. Something over here. Okay, let's give us a little bit more room to walk. Let's see here. This one, what we can do, we're almost done with this portion, with the ProBuilder portion, guys, and then we're going to move on to, there we go. We're going to create a little hallway down here. And I want a bigger room down here, actually. Cool. Little hallway here, and I'll put a window there or something like that, okay? All right, so we have our level. Now the next question is, okay, well, how do we make it look pretty using assets, right? Well, before we do that, we want to put our windows and our doors to make it feel like an actual, building. And we're also going to add trim pieces. So here's so far how it looks. Good, okay. But it doesn't feel like an actual building, right? And that's because we need doors, we need windows. And so here's how we do that. Now that I know that I'm using a set grid of 1 unity meter, right? I also know that these pieces are confined perfectly to that size, okay? And I actually created these pieces with ProBuilder. The real pain was actually doing the UV unwrap, okay? That's really, so I just want to give those to you. So the link is in the description. It should be, if you're watching this on replay, the link's in the description. If you guys are watching this live, I will put that up as soon as I can, okay? So you can use them for yourself as well. But here, look, if I put this here, if I hold V and select this, I can put it there, okay? And then you're going to delete that portion of the mesh, okay? So now we have a window there, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and edit out that part of the mesh. Right click, delete faces. And it should be, please God, we should not see any weird Z fighting or anything like that because it's snapped perfectly and we're using a perfect grid. So now already you can imagine, oh, this is how Half-Life 2 was made, right? This is how Twisted Tower was made. Now, you got to be careful because the game can feel like Wolfenstein if you don't set dress it properly and use angled arches and really go in and set dress this. But overall, this is the basics of level design, right? Using a grid and then slowly putting in prefabbed pieces that are modular. So I'm going to go ahead and put a window over here as well. So really quick, I could just delete this. And in fact, let's go ahead really quickly before we do this, guys. What you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you get all of your UVs perfectly unwrapped. So I'm going to go back in time, keep all this. I'm going to select everything. And then I'm going to go to, where is it? Tools, ProBuilder, Editors, UV Editor. I'm going to open that up, bring that over here, right? Convert it to auto. And I should be able to do convert to auto here, and then I can go to 4. I'm sorry. Is it 4x4? Let's double check. That should do it. So now everything, okay, yeah. Select all of it. I'm going to go 1 by 1. There we go. Good. Okay, the unwrap is perfect now. It should be. This is why, by the way, why I love ProBuilder, because its unwrapping method is very precise and specific to this kind of level design. So as long as you design in a grid pattern like this, the unwraps are always really clean. Okay. Before I start deleting faces, I want to go ahead and put my trim in. The reason I want to put my trim in is because if I start deleting faces, I'm not going to be able to create edge loops. So I want to make sure I can create my edge loops now. So I'm going to create an edge loop up here. I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to make sure I'm set to 0.1 for my grid snapping. And I'm going to go to insert edge loop. And now I have an edge loop around the entire freaking thing. And I can just pull it up to this point here and then bring it down by 1. Is that enough of a trim piece? Probably not. I think going down to 0.2 is probably good. I'm going to do the same down here. Right click, insert edge loop. You're probably thinking, why do we need trim? Trim, just like in a real house, this is why people spend a lot of money on trim. Trim makes things feel human and beautiful. And so we're just going to add some trim here as well at the same size, 0.2. Okay. And you kind of want that trim to sort of match the size of the trim of the windows as well. So let's hit play. Actually, I'm going to select the face here, right click, and I'm going to do a select I believe the loop. Is that what I just did? I'm going to put on a new color. Okay. So I'm going to put in gray here just so I know what the trim looks like. And when I go in and drag in a new material or a texture, that's just going to just appear there. Okay. Same here. I'm going to select what was it? I always get confused. The ring. Yeah, the ring. And I'm going to do gray here as well. So already, I'm going to save here. Already you can see how it's starting to look like an actual building. You know, does that make sense? You could call it molding, but it's also trim. That's what you call that, trim. Now, with stuff like this, here's a rule that I've learned from one of the guys who worked at id. I believe Chad worked at id. One of my friends, his name is Chad. He used to say, if you're going to move from one texture to another, so for example, let's say this is like a wood paneling, but this is like a plaster, you always want to put in some kind of trim. Okay, so I'm going to add an edge loop here. There we go. Same thing here. Let's find where the there it is. I'm going to pull it up there and then just hold. Wait, hang on. Where is it? There we go. And then just do 1, 2. There we go. And again, I'm just going to select that face ring and I'm going to drag in the gray. Why not do it down here as well, you know? You could do go to ProBuilder, select an edge, and then You select an edge because you're telling ProBuilder where you want the loop to be perpendicular to. It's kind of weird, but there we go. 1, 2. Okay. Select that ring. Whoops. And here's the thing. Now it's a loop. For some reason, it doesn't work. Hold on. There we go. It's a ring. It's a ring. If it starts to look good just in its block out, right? You know you're doing well. You know, this is great. I could, if I wanted to, do a piece here. I might. This is a little bit more difficult because we're going to have to do 4 different edge loops. One here. 1, 2. We could do it this way really quick if we wanted to. Insert edge loop here. There we go. The problem is we'd have to select each one to move it. So I'm just going to do it one at a time. Okay, I'm going to move it over. 1, 2. I'm going to select that face ring. In this case, it's a loop. There it is. Good. Nope, we don't want to do that. We just want to do this. Okay. Select this. Does this make sense what we're doing, guys? And by the way, I didn't come up with this stuff. This is what Felipe taught me when he was working on Twisted Tower. He was brilliant with level design. And he showed me his method. And I can't remember what he called it. But it's a great method. I don't think it's like particularly like profound. I think most level designers probably do this kind of thing. But this is how we built Twisted Tower's base layer for the levels. Make sense? All right, let's do another edge loop. See how pretty this is starting to look, guys? Insert an edge loop here as well. Edge loops and punching out the grid is like, honestly, like half of the work for a level design. Edge loops, and edge loops, and then sort of extruding that grid out and building the base layer for the block out is kind of like the ultimate where you spend a lot of your time. But overall, this looks great. Let's go ahead and hit play, and I think we're ready, guys, to go ahead and start adding in the windows. The windows and the doors. And again, all of this is free assets. Free assets or just using ProBuilder. Looks good so far, doesn't it, guys? It's starting to feel like a real place. Just because we have trim now. Very good. All right, let's keep going. Any questions so far? Just popped into the tail end of the explanation. Could I get a quick TLDR? You can back up. You can rewind the live stream. I love you so much. We got to move forward, though. I'm going to delete this. Okay, make sure you delete the trim, too. And you're probably thinking, oh, but Thomas, then we're not going to have trim on the door frame or the window frame. Nope, that's not true. Let's delete this. And you could see here that I predicted yesterday when I was building these pieces that I would need trim. So I've got a very strict standard. This is why when you download a bunch of assets to build modular interiors, it's a huge problem. Your interiors, the base layer of your block out, when it's the windows, the doors, and the walls, you should probably do that from scratch. And then use set dressing assets. And I'm going to show you all of that, guys. Okay? I'm going to show you all of that stuff. Okay. All right. So that looks awesome. We've got a window now. We could throw in a door here. But Thomas, it doesn't go anywhere. So we'll lock the door. This is how you make a game feel big. Guys, believe it or not, a lot of games like Resident Evil, they're not as big as they look. They're big, but they're not as big as they look. I could delete these faces here, right? And now I could say, well, you know what? Let's go put a door over there. I'm going to rotate this door along its center. There we go. Rotate it. There we go. And look, hold V, select this vertice and drag it over here and bam, snap, right? What we want to make sure is that door is a child of it. Looks like it's not. So I'm going to create a new prefab. I'm going to call this doorway wall with door. Because sometimes you might not want a door. You might just want the frame, right? I'm going to drag that into our prefabs as a prefab variant. No, it's not a variant, actually, because it includes prefabs inside of it, but it's not a variant. I'm going to rotate this, snap it, hold V, and snap. See that? Oh, my goodness. Now it feels a little bit bigger. It's like, where does that go, right? This, I'm fine with just putting like a bookshelf there and maybe a light over it. Let's add 2 windows here, okay? So again, if you know how big your window piece is, right? That's why it's so beneficial to have this grid printed onto the UV. And that's just a texture, by the way. It's just a 1080 by 1080 texture. I can grab this and I can say, okay, I want one here and I want one here. So 2 sets of windows. Sweet, let's do it. Delete, 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 delete. All this stuff is going to be deleted. And now I just put my windows there. Does this make sense, guys? Any questions so far? Is this a new game? This is not a new game. I'm just trying to teach you guys how to build games in 2026 with asset flipping. This is particularly important when it comes to interiors. There's so many games that come out that are exterior because it's a lot easier to make a 3D game that's exterior. This process that I'm showing you, this base layer is going to be a canvas for a bunch of flipped assets. Right now, we're not using assets. Right now, we're just creating a base layer, a base canvas that will accept assets appropriately. A lot of people download a castle pack and they download a Victorian pack and they have all these different wall pieces. And they're like, what do I do with all these wall pieces? They're all different sizes. So what you want to do is use ProBuilder to create your base layer. And then you start putting tables and chairs and picture frames. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Oh, great. That looks really good. Does that make sense, guys? What we just did there? I'm going to delete my UV editor over here. Okay, that looks good so far. Hey, let's put a window here. And just remember, guys, for those of you who are just joining us, if you want to get a shout out in tomorrow's live stream, and also you want to take your game dev career to the next level, check out the link below for my massive game dev program, which not only teaches you how to make games, but it also teaches you how to sell them, right? Whether that's through publishers, Kickstarter, or hitting the Steam front page and getting wish lists and reaching out to the press. The game covers all of the marketing that you need to know. And also, whether you want to learn Godot, Unreal, Unity, it doesn't matter. It teaches that as well. You also got to get my 3D and my 2D art programs completely free, but it's only for this sale. I'm going to delete this. And we're going to go ahead, excuse me, and take this piece and put it over there as well. Again, hold V, grab that vertice and just snap her. Now, what we want to make sure we do is snap this one there. There we go. So you guys can see here, it doesn't look pretty on the outside, does it? And that's okay. We're only going to be inside. This is necessary. Something like this process is absolutely necessary for interiors because it helps you design levels without set dressing. You don't want to set dress. Let's put a door here. You don't want to set dress and then you can't change things because you've set dressed. Let's push this out like this. Hold shift and just click. Make sure snapping's set to 1 and then push out. There we go. See, you can see why that's a problem. Okay? Because now our trim got painted onto the floor. So that's why you really want to do trim when you're sure about the level design. So I made a mistake here, but we don't have to worry because now it's fixed. I'm going to select this, delete the faces, and we could do a door there. That's fine. Yep, and rotate it. Looks like that trim piece didn't get deleted. So that's why you want to, the trim, it's like building a house, honestly. You don't put the trim on until the drywall's up, you know? The same is true with level design. You really don't want to be putting the trim on until you're absolutely sure about the level design, okay? So in my case, I made a mistake here, and I put the trim up before I was sure about where I wanted the doors to go. But now I think we're good. We have a little gap here. So why did that happen? Let's double check. Go back in time. Okay, because we deleted that piece. So you got to be really careful with ProBuilder. All right, we're going to start doing texture work in just a sec, okay? Delete our faces and put a door there. And all this is, guys, is it's just giving the appearance, and again, surprise, surprise, game dev is about tricking the player into thinking there's more there than there is. We're tricking the player into thinking this is a much bigger level than it is, okay? We've got windows that are going to look outside. We've got doors that seem to go somewhere, but they're locked, right? Okay. Looking good so far. And you'll notice movement's very slow because this is so we got a little bit of weirdness going on there. Something didn't snap properly. It could be the rotation of it. But overall, we're rock solid. Yeah, we've got a little bit of weirdness going on here, and I could not tell you why. I wonder why that's happening. After this stream, I'm going to go in and look at the pieces to see what's going on. There might be a floating point issue. I'll double check for you guys after this live stream, okay? But overall, guys, looks great. You ready to do some texture work? Okay, we need some textures. We need some wall textures. We need some trim textures. We need some floor textures. And we need some ceiling textures, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use illegal assets from Google, and we're going to slowly start building these. Okay, so this is where we get into the asset flipping portion, okay? So what I'm going to do is open up this piece here. This is our 1x1 UV. It's not orange, it's white. I've just changed it to orange. So this right here is the texture for this, okay? It is a PSD file. I'm not exporting it as a PNG. It is a PSD file. I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to find old plaster texture, okay? Now this is just for the purposes of this tutorial, guys. And actually, let's do Victorian wallpaper texture. Okay. And I'm going to find one that's not too aggressive. And we're going to want to have a portion at the bottom, which is going to be like shiplap. Okay. So let's see here. I know you can't see my screen. Hang tight. That looks good. I'm going to grab that one. We kind of need to go a little bit higher res. Let's go to large. And again, these are not legal, guys. Okay. So there's our texture here. We're going to snap it to the top here and drag it down. None of these are going to be like tiling perfectly. We'll do that later. I'm going to get rid of all of this crap. I'm trying to figure out why my stream is slow right now. I'm not sure. But are we good, guys? How's the stream so far? Okay, so that's good so far. I'm going to save this as wallpaper. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to double this width so that, yes, I'm going to double its width. And I understand why a lot of people don't want to use non-square, like rectangular textures. I understand why, but I'm okay with doing this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have water damage sort of coming down from the ceiling. This is especially valuable for games where you have interiors because you want it to feel like there's interaction happening between the top and the walls, the ceiling and the walls. I'll explain what I mean in a sec. In fact, let's just go ahead and make it 4x4, okay? And I'll just make this bottom portion the shiplap. Might as well. All right, let's find a shiplap texture. Well, no, we're just going to do this. We're going to do shiplap as a separate texture. I want this to be big, guys, because if you have water damage and it looks like that and it's just looping, tiling it just gets really repetitive. So we want a big, broad texture, pretty wide texture with varying hues and shades of the water damage. Okay. I'm going to save this though. And I'm going to just scribble on water damage for now, just so we know. And this is that's the halfway point. And then water damage will be here like this. Okay, something like that. I'm going to save that as wallpaper, and we're going to start adding this into our game. All right, so I'm going to select in ProBuilder all of this stuff here. I'm going to select this ring, this one, and this one, and this one. We're going to do a bunch of rings. Okay, it didn't work. Can we do a loop? No. Okay, so it probably would have been smarter to do the texturing first. Well, what we could do is we could do the ceiling. Because if we do the ceiling, it's all flat. So if I do this, I believe, as long as hidden is turned off, if I select all this, I should be able to just, yes, I could change the material for the ceiling. So I'm going to create a new UV really quick. I'm going to call this one like green. There we go. And then if I just do the ceiling portion here, whoops, let's go to our ProBuilder. There we go. And then I'm going to do green here. That should just do the ceilings. Yay. And then we'll also do the floors. Thank God. This is so much easier. Okay, good. I'm going to do blue. So just having these different colors here helps a lot because it allows me to quickly change the materials and then I can just swap those materials out with new textures. Does that make sense? So I'm going to select all that and then I'm going to do blue. All right, let's hit play here and hopefully, crap. Blue and then green. Oh, I did the wrong one. Give me just a sec here, guys. Select this ProBuilder mesh. And we're going to do blue here. Did it work? I think there's blue and then there's green. Hang on. Yeah. No. Is it the same? I think they're different. Let's see here. Yeah, we're good. All right. So this is where we're going to start swapping in our textures. I'm going to create the let's double check here to make sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and bring in our wallpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new UV. We're going to call this wallpaper, or a new material. We're going to call it wallpaper. And all I got to do is throw that wallpaper texture on and drag it here. Okay. And there it is. Now you'll notice you'll notice that is the wrong size, and that's because we made a massive one, right? So that's why we drew those lines on there, so we can see, okay, where does this need to scale to, right? I'm curious though. Yeah, if we double that, it'll work. So let's go ahead and select by material. Select by material. There we go. And I'm going to go to my UV editor, Tools, ProBuilder, Editor. Open UV editor. And I believe I could set it to 0.5. Maybe even 0.25. Is that it? I think that's it. But we need to move it down, baby. So we're going to move the UV down just a tad here to that. That should do it. Now, my concern here, my concern is that we're not going to be able to have it work for this. So what I may want to do is I may want to go back on my own word here. I kind of hate that it's not nice and uniform. So I'm going to do 1920 by 1920. There we go. And that's because that was its center. But for the purposes of this, because that was going to get really complicated, for the purposes of this, we're just going to have one piece of wallpaper with some wallpaper or some mildew coming down from the top. That's all we're going to do. All the same sizes. Okay. We're going to go back to 1 by 1. Good. Okay, good. There we go. This portion will be trim, and that will be the top portion with it. Okay, got it. Okay, so let me think here. We're going to do 0.25 by 0.25. There we go. All right, that's it. Good, Thomas. So that works for me. We got our wallpaper, and we're going to have like mildew coming down from the top. We good though, guys? Does everything make sense? All right. That's good. We're going to go ahead and make our ceiling as well. And look, by the way, I can take this wallpaper and just drag it here and drag it here. I'm going to need to adjust those UVs, right? Alternatively, there is part of me that does wonder if this was 3840 by 3840, would it fix it? Let's click OK here. And what I may do, guys, is I may actually change the tiling in the material, not in the ProBuilder mesh. So let's think this through really quick. Here's our wallpaper. It did not fix it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 0.25 by 0.25. And that tiling, and it's right here actually, I'm so sorry. It's this one right here. If we set this to 0.25 by 0.25, then we can just drag it onto it. Okay, so let's go back in time. This is where Thomas makes mistakes. We're going to go back in time here. Okay. Yay. So if we go to our wallpaper, we want to adjust the tiling on the texture. We don't want to adjust the tiling on the UV. We want everything to be nice and clean 1 by 1. So I'm going to go to my wallpaper here and go to 0.25 by 0.25. There we go. And I can just drag it here. I can drag it here. Now, for some reason, we're getting a weird... The tiling, yes, it's just because we're just going to have to adjust that so it matches. Although... Yes, okay. Yes, okay. So we're going to just have to adjust it here and here, match them. But my theory is we might not even have to do that. Okay, and we'll figure out as we go. Bring those in here, good. One in here, just plenty of wallpaper, guys. Here and here as well. All right. So let's see here. For some reason, that's offset. and I cannot quite put a finger on why that's happening. We probably just need to adjust the UV of the prefab itself. That's exactly what we need to do. So let's fix that really quick. If I drag this one in here and I select all of these by material, there we go. We need to get out of this context here. There we go. The theory is we need to have it offset like this. Yes. There we go. Same is true on the backside as well. Yeah, for some reason when I go to select by material, it's selecting all of them in the entire context of the scene. And we don't want that. And there we go. Good. So that's where its origin is. That should do for those. They should adjust automatically. Yay. Good. Oh, nice and clean. We'll do it with that one as well. But yeah, we're getting nice clean tiling here. Now we might get some situations where it's not perfectly horizontally tiled, but as long as it's, vertically correct, I think we're good. So let's go ahead, open this up here. I'm just going to drag on that wallpaper really quick, just so I could see it. Same sort of thing here. For some reason, I can't select in prefab mode, which is so annoying. Once you start editing ProBuilder meshes inside of their prefab context, it gets really, really weird. It's not perfect, I will tell you. But this is sort of a core issue, or an issue with the original pieces that I should have resolved yesterday. Hopefully I won't have to go and do this again and again and again. So here we go. There we go. All right. So that should do it for our doorways. Now we're going to get a nice clean tiling. Let's see over here. Yeah, so that's like fine. I don't love it, but it's fine. And so honestly, what we're going to do here is you're going to have basically something like this. Okay? And we're going to go in and colorize all these and make them look really pretty and cool. But you're going to have something like this. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right. Yes, you'll be able to rewatch this later. So yeah, that's really what this is for. Okay. The reason why it matters where it's vertically oriented, the UV, is so that we can have something like this. Sort of moldy, and we'll grab an asset, but something like this. Where you have blur, motion blur, 90. There we go. Something like that. And if you get situations where you're like, I hate that, then what you do is you say, okay, well, we'll do this. And hopefully that'll resolve most of those weird issues. Now you might see a few like right there, and we could go in and adjust the UV, but something is going on here. This one little piece of the ProBuilder mesh got confused, and there as well. I do not know why. That's so unfortunate. So unfortunate. I hate when that happens. Excuse me, keep coughing. Sorry. But let's go ahead and just move that UV up. And it should resolve it. So strange. Not sure why that happened. But it's okay. Resolve that UV. These as well. Man, that's so frustrating. Boop, 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 boop. And then same here. And then that should be, hopefully, the only issues we have with our UVs. And I know what you're thinking. It's like, that looks really bad. Hold your horses. We're just getting all of the textures assigned. We haven't done any set dressing, any lighting. We haven't even done any real texture work. We're just getting our general textures in, okay? And guys, this process speeds up throughout your game's development. Once you start getting all your textures created and you get your process down, it all speeds up. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, we have our ceiling here. Let's go ahead and find some plaster for our ceiling. Now, we don't want any weird mold going in one direction or coming down or anything like that. We just want maybe plaster ceiling texture. And my hope is to get something that looks a little bit rich or ornate, you know, something you might see in like a old Italian villa or something. I don't know. So let's just grab this one here. I'm going to put it on this right here. We want it to be, I just want it 1920 by 1080, honestly. So this one is not going to be double the standard texture size. The other one was double because it was a huge piece of a wall, and we're going to have a lot of different detailing and texturing. If it's too small, it looks really repetitive. This right here should be good, and we're going to make these tile properly. Don't worry. We just want to get these general textures placed into our scene, and then we're going to go and colorize them and add normal maps and shine, smoothness maps, and potentially metallic maps. This is our ceiling plaster. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go ahead and just create a new material, ceiling plaster. And you can see why it was so beneficial to get all of these UV maps placed in the block out, so that as an artist, I can just go ahead and just drag in my ceiling plaster. See? That makes sense? There's no normal maps. There's no lighting, nothing yet. It's just texture. Okay? I kind of want it to be on this. I feel like that makes sense. I feel like a interior designer would not wallpaper this portion. So I'm going to put a little bit of ceiling plaster there as well. I guess we could have selected the ring. But if I was listening to a podcast and relaxing and drinking coffee, I'd just be clicking slowly and enjoying my time. All right, let's put some ceiling plaster on there as well. Don't worry if it looks like it's the different color. It's not actually, it's just a lighting issue. Okay. Oh, we need floor. Okay. I think a hardwood floor would be really cool. So let's do that. An old vintage hardwood floor. Vintage hardwood floor texture. Guys, is this helpful to you at all? And by the way, if you're wondering, like, where is this method being used? Like this, some random YouTuber just telling us BS. This is the method that I've used for Twisted Tower for the last 5 years. Me and Felipe have used this method for five years. Old wood floor here. Let me grab this one. Sorry, I'm looking through all the different illegal assets I'm going to use here. Okay, great. I'm glad it's helpful. I feel like I'm floundering, but I'm hypercritical of myself. So, okay, that should be good here. You don't want hardwoods to all be left aligned like that, because that's not how it works. That should do. And we're going to make all these tiled properly. All right. This one in particular is going to be a problem because there's lighting changes to it. So we're going to need to adjust that. But this should do for now. Wood floor. Again, look at this, guys. All we got to do, because we have a standard size for everything. I could just drag in our new wood floor here and bang, there it is. Okay, now this tiling is an issue. I want it to be 1 by 1. You don't want things to be too big, okay? Because it's going to make the player feel like they're small, or that it's like a toon game. So let's see here. Those seem a little too small. But overall, I think it's good. I'm going to I'm going to do something here, show you guys how we can fix the flooring. Now it's going to start feeling like we're playing The Sims, you know? 0.5 by 0.5 should be good. Once you understand like ProBuilder, it starts to feel like you're playing The Sims, honestly. Okay, so wood floor is interesting because it's directional, right? This wood floor should kind of maybe go down this way. But then when we turn down this hall, it feels a little strange, doesn't it? Because if I was to make this vertical here, then this might feel weird. So what we want to do is have a carpet texture that we could sort of use to transition to different areas. So I'm also going to create a trim piece here really quick. So this is going to be called trim. We'll do the carpet in a second, but I'm going to call this trim. And it's actually the same texture, but I'm just going to do this. Watch. Just for now, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to actually open up. No, what I'm going to do is, this is going to be called trim here. And I'm going to create a new trim texture. How's it being used? Yeah, it's 1 by 1. Okay, good. So this is going to be called trim, wood trim. Bring in our trim here, and we're just going to put it here. Now, you'll notice that it's not really tiling correctly, right? That's really a problem to do with the texture, right? So what I'm going to do is go into the texture and just make sure it's the right height. Okay, I'll explain in just a, I'll show you here in just a sec. So I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to eyeball it. And the theory is it should, once it's tall enough, as long as it's aligned properly, pull it down here. Gonna have to eyeball this until we get it just right. Okay, pull it down a little bit more. But once you figure out this standard, it should work across the board. Okay, good. So that one worked. And I'm going to make sure that that top layer is actually occurring. So I'm going to write layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 on it all. Layer 1. There we go. There's layer 1. Okay, that's layer 1. That's layer 1, so that's good. And then let's see where layer 2 is happening. There's layer 2. Hang tight, y'all. This is going to make sense. And, you know, this is sort of the startup cost of creating your game. Getting all your assets standardized, your sizing standardized. Okay, that's layer 5. Got it. Okay. 5, is layer 6 ever used? Nope. 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 Good. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the exact size of layer 1. Okay. So layer 1, we're going to find the perfect size of it. So I'm going to shrink it down until I can see those nice clean lines at the bottom of it. Okay, getting there, getting there. This is why I like to use PSDs. And what you want is it looks like we're basically using 5 layers. Although, layer 5, yeah, nope, that's it. That's exactly what we're going to do. So here's what we're going to do. I figured it out. It's a little bit of a math problem here. You're going to get 5 smart objects, and you're just going to divide by 5. Yep, that's all we're going to do. Got it. So we take these, distribute them evenly across the stage, I believe. Yeah, like this. No. You line them up perfectly together. here's how the math is going to check out here. This is where Thomas is kind of an idiot. Yeah, there we go. Now we have 5 of them. Just drag it like this. Good. And then you can just adjust the colors. So we can invert and then invert. And this sort of gives us an idea of the various layers. So we can just use it as a reference. That should do it, right? So we'll see. We'll see if this is how it's supposed to be done. Okay, so there's layer 1. Good, and you can't see it. That's perfect. Okay, good. Layer 1, layer 1, layer 5. Good. Yay. Awesome. So here's what we're going to do. That makes sense so far, guys? We have these trim pieces here, and they're just duplicates of each other, and they're stacked, right? That should work. Trim good. Trim good. Yay! Okay, we got our trim. It's not tiling properly horizontally. We're going to fix that. So we got our trim. We got our wallpaper. We got our ceiling. We're going to need to do door window trim here. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to open this up. This is a different kind of trim because I'm going to want the ceiling trim to be like maybe white. But I could still grab these pieces and just put it here. And then I'm going to delete those and save this as door trim. Beep, there we go. Let's go to our door trim here. We call this door trim. Just duplicated it. And I'm going to bring in the new door trim. And it should smoothly go on this. We'll see. Let's go to our window frame here. I'm going to go to the prefab itself. No, we're not going to do that. Here's what we're going to do. Type in window trim. Whoops. Window frame. Go to all of our window frames here and bring in our door trim. There we go. All right. Yay. And it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Nice and clean. All right. This right here. Wall with window. Same with all of these. I'm just going to drag in the new trim. This is the ceiling trim. Yeah, wood trim. There we go. Whoops, wrong. Go back in time. Go back in time, Thomas. No, Thomas. I don't know what just happened. Go back in time. There we go. I'm not sure. Hang on. Let's figure out what's going on here. It's right there. That's the one. There we go. Hey, it looks good. Okay. Same with the doors, right? Swap out those, the trim, right? With the wood trim, which is right here. That should be it. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. It's right here. Wood trim. And then we're going to do door trim here. Yay. Awesome. It's looking good. What I like to see is everything nice and clean. You know, everything's unwrapped properly, you know. Let's go ahead and create a new door. A door texture. And we're going to go into all these textures. And you guys are going to see why it's so important to have it as PSDs. Because we're going to go into all of our textures and grab a bunch of free assets and make it look maybe even AA, maybe even AAA. Okay, here we go. Old rustic wooden door. Victorian wooden door. There we go. Now there's shines on it, so I'm going to type in texture. Again, this is all illegal, but this is for the purposes of today's tutorial, okay? Hey, that's good. That's good. It's got lighting on it, so you want to get ones that don't have lighting. That's good. We'll grab that for now. I'm curious if that's going to work for us, and we're going to get rid of the door handles. Those really do need to be 3D, but we're going to do this. Okay, and I'm just going to edit fill, and that should be good enough for our door. Again, guys, there's a whole process that I did before this live stream that was unwrapping. You know, unwrapping is a whole other thing. So let's go ahead and grab that and just type, create a new material here. And we'll call this door. There it is. Just put it there. See? There's our door. And we'll do a height map, you know, to make it look like it's 3D. We're going to use lighting and color changes. It's going to look great. It's amazing what lighting can do for your scene. Now you notice our prefab here for our door. That door isn't really in a good spot. So we're going to open that up and move the door. Where's my, where I don't want to grab. There we go. Turn off snapping and just move it in. There we go. Okay. And we also want a window. And we'll adjust the weird proportions of that and everything. But let's go ahead and find like a Victorian window texture. And you'd probably think, well, shouldn't that be a mesh? Not really. I mean, we could probably get away with it not being a mesh, you know? I kind of want to show you guys why you don't really need high fidelity here. Okay, let's see here. We just need windows. But overall, the unwraps look pretty dang good. Wouldn't you say, guys? Pretty good unwraps. Anyway, let's go ahead and find like an old, like a Tudor style window or something. Maybe Victorian window. Yeah, we'll do a Tudor style window. Yeah, something like this is great, you know. The problem with window texture is it's all of the shaders, you know. There's just a bunch of shaders going on in the actual texture, and you don't want to do it with the texture, you want to do it with the shader. Does that make sense? Please let me know if that doesn't make sense, and I'll try and explain. There we go. I could probably make that work. I kind of just want this one to be a simple shape that I can... Tudor style window vector. Here we go. Yeah, lots of cool window shapes here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and crosshatch it ourselves, man. Yeah, let's just do that. We're just gonna crosshatch ourselves, guys. And we'll have a nice base layer of shapes. which is all we really need. And then we could put texturing over top of it, metal texturing, et cetera, et cetera. It's probably going to be too much. There we go, and then we'll flip it. Rasterize this, crop it, and we should transform, flip horizontal. Yeah. We'll see if that works, you know, I'm not sure. And you're going to want a little bit of a frame here and here. Whoops. Merge layers. And then do this. Okay, that's on our door file, so let's make sure we save this. And we're going to go to Window. Yeah, Window. It's fine. Now, we're going to get issues because it's squashed. So what we want to do, actually, is we want to have it like this. There we go, Tommy. You got it, buddy. Something like that. And then you take all this and then you convert it to a smart object. And then you and then, yeah. There we go, Tommy. No modeling. All just smart texture work can get you very far. Very, very far. There we go. And then we'll delete those. And that should do it, y'all. That should be good enough for now for our window. Ready to throw that onto the windows here? We're going to type in glass, get all the different glasses in the scene, and call this window. There we go. Drag in our new window texture and just put it all right here. There we go. Not bad, Tommy. Okay, we've got our base layer. Pretty good. We're going to make sure that this is set to alpha clipping. Yep, and then we're going to make sure we fix our skybox. And you can even add a little bit of a glass here, and then you can use smoothness maps to simulate glass. So you can do this. And we'll set it to transparent, not alpha clipping. There we go. All right. Pretty good. You're probably thinking, man, this looks so bland. Well, we're going to adjust the textures. We're going to make everything look really rustic. We're going to add in decals and assets and set dressing to make this look great. But let's go ahead and lighting, obviously lighting. See you later, buddy. See you later, Roosinator. Okay. So far we have our base layer done. Okay. For our 3D game, our 3D horror environment. Okay. Believe it or not, this is what we need. This is what we need. It looks very, very rudimentary, but this is what you want. A base layer that has standard sizes that you're going to use through the rest of the development so that you can then set dress and add a bunch of assets. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and figure out the color scheme so that we can colorize and adjust our textures. Well, I think overall, all we really want to do is sort of just grayish tones, grays and browns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new document here. And this is just going to be our color, our very clean color palette that we're going to use for this game. Okay. So I'm going to want to use for our browns, something like this. For our wallpaper, I think what we want to do is like a baby blue. I think that's what's in Resident Evil. And for our, honestly, maybe like our paintings, we're going to use like a vibrant orange. Maybe even a reddish color. The paintings can have this sort of reddish, haunted red color like that. Maybe drop down the saturation and the, yeah, like a burgundy kind of color. That's about it, guys. I don't think I need to do, and also we could do that with rugs as well. But overall, that's our color scheme. I don't really have an issue with these colors. So I'm going to save this as our color scheme. And this is super duper important because this color scheme we're going to use to unify all of our textures. So I'm going to move this to the left here so we can use it over and over. And we're just going to start applying these colors, okay? We're going to do it to our trim. We don't really need any of this. We can just merge it all down. And I'm going to paste that there, and I'm going to adjust the trim. You want, guys, it's really important that the lightness values, the color values, they're all sort of matchy-matchy with your textures so that you can then go in and have a very uniform lightness and hue for your scene. And then when you add lighting, it makes everything feel uniform. So let's see if we can adjust this accordingly. Looks about what I want. Disable that. Trim, same thing. Good. Wallpaper is going to be that blue. The ceiling plaster, right? This is going to be, it's going to be this color as well. So again, just do a hue shift. This one is probably going to need a colorization. And just try and match it. Just like we've done in previous episodes. Go drop down the saturation a little bit. There we go. That's good enough for me, man. Save that. Okay. Probably want to brighten that one up just for because the ceiling is more plaster. So we're going to brighten it up just a little bit. There we go. The wood floors, we're going to try and, man, that's going to be tough because it's all so many different shades, but we're going to try. Let's go ahead and add a point light in here so we can start to see how things are looking. I'm going to make the skybox look black outside. That's, yeah, we need a new skybox. So let's create a new skybox. This is going to be our storm cloud skybox. I'm going to drag it on in. There we go. This is going to be a panoramic skybox. And it's just going to be dark. That's all we want for now. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a point light in because I just want to start to be able to see how the colors look in the lighting that we're going to be using. Add a point light in here. Let's pretend it's coming from the ceiling. Okay. There we go. Crank up the intensity here. And we're going to do just a subtle warm color. And what you want to do with your lights, is you want to make sure that you have a standard light color you're using all the time. Okay. A brightness of 10. And I'm going to add this color to my swatches down there. Okay. So now I have that color that I know I can use over and over and over again. Okay. I'm going to make sure that this point light is actually a prefab. I'm going to just call this, I'm just going to make a prefab out of it. So I have this. Now you're probably thinking, man, it looks so bland still. Well, that's because we have ambient lighting on. I'm going to turn that off. Start to make sense, guys? See what a difference that makes? I'm going to turn on shadows. It's a small environment, so I'm cool having shadows casting from all of our lights. I'm going to reduce that strength. Look how things are just starting to feel pretty amazing. And that's all we really need. So now I can start to see, okay, this is what's going on. This is what our world looks like. The skybox should be black, and I'm just not seeing it. I think what we want to do is I want to go ahead and get a skybox going, a stormy skybox with like trees in the distance, because it's going to be really hard for me to know if these colors are working if I can't look out those windows and see a skybox. So let's go ahead and create a skybox. I'm just going to pick a random size for our skybox. I'm going to do something like 3840 by, let's see, 3840 by 800. I don't know. Yeah, something like this is going to be fine. Let's do a little Google search so I don't lead you guys astray. What is the best size for a panoramic 4K skybox in Unity? Okay, we've got 8,192 by 4096. What did I say? 49 what? 4096. All right. So there we go. I know you can't see, hang tight. Storm Cloud Skybox. This is all illegal, but this is for the purposes of this tutorial. Okay, there we go. Let's just grab in one really quickly here. This one's awesome. I'm going to grab that and just bring it on in. And this is just as filler right now. Okay. We're going to get arty here and start changing all the textures and making things look good. But for now, I just want everything kind of colorized. I want a skybox in there. That's all I'm looking for. Okay. There's our skybox. I'm just going to create a little gray horizon right here, and then I'm going to make the top dark. That's all we really need for our skybox. So this is going to be our storm cloud skybox.psd, and I can just drag this into our skybox here. There it is. Boom. And then we're just going to set it to white or gray. That way, if I go in here, I can take a look and see our skybox. Okay. So the glass on those windows, we probably need to darken it a little bit. I'm going to remove the glass actually for now. I just want to see through the skybox, and I'm going to darken the crap out of this. It's almost midnight, you know. There we go. All right. So now it's getting a little bit creepier. I like it. I like it. Good, good, good. Now we have, this is going to be our fluorescent point light. We could call this warm point light. We could duplicate this and call this night sky point light. Okay. And I can just drag this one in here and have a night sky one about right here. And it's going to be that night sky color. Okay. And it's going to be very subtle. So like something like 4 with a range of like 30. No, less than that. There we go. And I can apply this. There we go. So I can put one here and put one here. Why am I doing lighting right now, guys? Because it's hard for me to know if my textures are working when the lighting is not the correct context. So I have to see something with the lighting before I can move forward. Okay, we got a point light here. Good. Though that's a massive point light. We don't need that. That's ridiculous. There we go. Just really shrink that guy down. There we go. All right. I'm going to apply the changes. I'm going to call this one, oh yeah, it's called warm point light. And then I'm going to apply the changes to this prefab so that I can use it elsewhere. Copy that one. And I'm going to move it right here. There we go. Ooh, that's creepy. I love that. And it should be casting shadows. Is it though? That's the question. Is my ProBuilder mesh casting shadows? It is good, but we want to crank up the strength. There we go. And hit apply all. Good. Same is true with this one. We want some harder shadows. There we go. Save that. Good. There we go. Might be able to even add a cookie there. For this one, we can reduce the intensity to like 1. There we go. There we go. Shadows are on. Guys, we don't even have specular information. We don't have any specular. We don't have any set dressing. And it's already feeling so good. Look at that. Bring it up here. All right, let's enter play mode and take a look. It's a little dull here. So what I'm going to do is add one little point light. This is probably going to be right here for a wall light. I'm just lighting based on what I want for the level design. And then we can go in and set dress it so that it feels, let's do like 3 here, so that it feels like the lights are actually being cast by something. We'll do one over here. There we go. I'm going to do 1. There we go. All right, let's enter play mode and take a look. So as you can see, this is why normal maps are going to be so valuable, because all of that directional light is going to be cast on, create shines and normal maps for the doors, for textures on the walls. See how lighting makes a huge difference, guys? I know it's dark, but hopefully you can understand why lighting is so valuable. So we really wanted to get it in now while we're working on the textures, to be honest. It's really hard to know if your textures look good without the lighting. There's one issue with our, is it the plaster? Yeah. Save it. Okay, good. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So far, so good. I love that shot. That's a great shot. Huge thank you to Charles, Ben, Simon, Eduardo, David, Jared, Gabriel, Massimiliano. That's a beautiful name. Hard to say, but very pretty. And Kyle and Chad and Sean Faharden and Juan R. Huge thank you for joining Full-Time Game Dev. And by the way, guys, we are going to continue to this master class or this workshop about how to make games in 2026. We're going to continue this tomorrow. We're going to continue it tomorrow, and we're going to do more asset flipping when it comes to lighting. We're going to do some lighting. We're going to put in some free assets to set dress the scene and make it look scary and look like Resident Evil. So we're going to wrap up here. But if you want to join Full-Time Game Dev, which is my massive game dev program, the New Year sale started yesterday, and I will say it's selling faster than I expected. They're probably going to sell out before the 12 days that are left are up. Just letting you know. You're going to get 50% off plus my 2D art program and my 3D art program. And obviously, I'll give you a shout out in tomorrow's live stream. And look, if you're curious about the program, you're not sure, you're like, what is this thing? Just check out the reviews. These reviews are real. They are real reviews from actual game devs who really did go full time. Pretty cool. They went full time with the help of the course. I'll never take full credit, but with the help of the course, they went full time. And that's because the course teaches not only about Godot, Unity, Unreal, and teaches you how to code, but it also teaches you how to reach out to publishers and secure publishing deals with just a demo. It teaches you how to do Kickstarter campaigns, how to get wish lists, how to hit the Steam front page. The reason why all of that is valuable in this course and why I consider this a premium course is because it's taught by somebody who's done all of this. Okay. I did all of that stuff. So you're going to learn from a developer who knows what works and what doesn't work and what's worked for him. I've gone full time 3 different times with 3 different projects. I just made a demo and then went full time, got funded. I want to show you how to do it too. And by the way, if you're a student in the program, let me know what you think about the program. One final thing here, guys. If you're on the fence, you're not sure, what makes this New Year's sale special is you're also going to get 2 full private hour-long sessions with me with about 11 to 12 other developers. That's usually how many show up, okay? Even though there's 100 seats available and those 100 will sell out, probably only 13 of you are going to show up. That's just the way it always works. So it's a very intimate Discord call with just 13 of us. And I'm going to talk about any questions you have. I'm going to look at your games. I'm going to look at your Steam pages. 2 of those are going to happen in January. So feel free to check out the course. I want to help you. I want to see you succeed in 2026. So thank you so much, guys. Tomorrow we're going to cover, remember what I said in today's live stream here. We're working in Unity. We're talking about, and I'm showing you how to asset flip, but I'm also going to show you how to use Copilot, okay? And how that can help speed things up for you. Tomorrow, I'm also going to show you how to self-promote, okay? And I'm also going to show you how to playtest, okay? Let's go ahead and finalize today's live stream with a promotion, okay? So let's go ahead and say, find a cool shot from today's live stream. And let's do this. We're going to screenshot it. I'm going to head on over to Twitter. Again, I'm just showing you guys how I promote things. I'm going to create a new post here. Relearning how to create simplistic, clean environments first before doing any set dressing. Here's a cool shot from the window. More to come tomorrow. If this had a Steam page, I'd put the link here to wishlist here. And I'm doing this to show you guys this is what you do. After you finish your day, put a link to wishlist the game. Put some screenshots, okay? Maybe a different angle here, like this. Super clean environments, you know? Let's paste this one here. Whoops. No, we're good there. It's okay if it doesn't look great, guys. Just post your content. Post your freaking content. Relearning how to create simplistic, clean environments first before doing set dressing. Here's a cool shot from, here are a few cool shots from a project I created live for fun. More to come tomorrow with set dressing with free assets. Okay? This is how you self-promote. You finish up your day, you post some screenshots. Tomorrow we might do some video footage or maybe even a little trailer or something. But this is great for today. So this is, again, me showing you how to self-promote. Okay? There you go. Post it. There it is for the world to see. I'm not super proud of it, but just put it out there. Don't be afraid. Okay? All right, guys, I love you so much. Check out that course if you're interested, okay? Those will sell out. I love you guys so much. Happy New Year. I'll see you tomorrow for the workshop.